Seven investigators have exposed a practice by police designed to crack down on drug criminals, but sometimes it turns innocent people into victims.
It's called asset forfeiture or civil forfeiture, and it involves police confiscating money and property that they believe was used in the buying and selling of drugs. In 2013, police in Michigan seized more than $24 million in property. Michigan has been considered one of the worst offenders, getting a D- from the Institute for Justice for our forfeiture laws. But before adjourning for the summer, the House passed some bills designed to make it more difficult to take your property.
Joining us right now, Representative Clint Kesto, one of the sponsors of the reforms. And Representative, I think some of these bills passed like 107 to 2. I don't think we've seen these kind of numbers in Lansing on anything. How did everybody come together on this particular issue?
Well, it's one of those things that I think everyone wants to get on board with, and it's about accountability and transparency and uniformity, especially when it comes to asset forfeiture and taking of property. People want due process. They want to know what police agencies are seizing, why they're seizing them, and it has bipartisan support, Republicans and Democrats alike.
There are probably some police officers concerned that this makes it harder to crack down on criminal behavior. Is that a legitimate concern, do you think?
I mean, I don't think that it should be a concern, because if you're cracking down on criminal behavior and it's legitimately criminal, then the property can be seized and then ultimately forfeited. And I think what we've seen is that in certain cases, in some aspects, there may not be criminal charges that are forthcoming. In some cases, there may not be a standard of proof of preponderance of the evidence even to forfeit the property. So we have to make sure that there is that accountability when they are seizing property.
Now, obviously, in the beginning, everybody thought this was a good idea, this asset forfeiture. Otherwise, this law wouldn't exist in the first place. So now you've tweaked it, made some fixes. How is that going to change what was originally supposedly a good idea?
Well, I think it still is a good idea, but I think now you'll see cases built a little bit stronger. They'll make sure that when they are seizing property, that there's justification, that we give due process to the individuals who've had their property seized. And then there's that aspect where we increase the burden of proof to not just preponderance of the evidence, but clear and convincing evidence. So you'll see stronger cases. You'll see at times when property is forfeited, that it was legitimately forfeited, that it was connected to criminal activity. And I think that's the real key there, is that we want to make sure that the tools are there, and they are necessary. However, we want that justification that the property is seized because it is involved in criminal activity.
Well, this
and what we did was we put in a uniform reporting system, because before police agencies would seize property, whether it be drug asset forfeiture, nuisance forfeiture. Some agencies would report one way, others another way. Now we've created a uniform system. Everyone reports the same way, whether it be drug asset forfeiture or nuisance forfeiture. We could get that data, collect it, and then make a reasonable determination as where we need to go as a state with regards to forfeiture of property when it's involved with criminal activity.
Well, this isn't on the books yet. It does still need to go through the Senate. Have you spoken to your colleagues in that chamber about how it's going to fare there?
I've spoken to them briefly, and I think that it will pass. I'm hopeful that it will pass, and I think that it's the right step forward for Michigan, for the state, for the people of the state of Michigan, to get that accountability, to get that transparency of when property is being seized, why it's being seized, and that uniformity. I think everyone would be on board with that.
Representative Clint Kesto of Commerce Township, my representative, by the way, thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you also for tweaking this to get things back in the right.
Absolutely. Thank you, and have a great evening.
All right.
And 7 Action News at 5 starts right now.